Okay, I know what you're going to say. So before you start angrily typing in the comments how wrong I am, just hear me out. That's all I want you to do is hear me out, listen to my points because I have things to say. Hey guys, my name is Zhariya and I typically make commentary videos just like this one. And Happy New Year, by the way. It's actually New Year's as I'm recording this, not like New Year's Eve because then you'd hear fireworks in the background, but it's New Year's. And with the new year comes new resolutions, new things that you want to try out. Maybe you want to try a new trade, or maybe you want to learn a language, or you want to travel more. Maybe your goal is to be a actor, perhaps a singer. But then you start doom scrolling online and you see that the only people that are famous right now, as though it appears online, is nepotism babies. And you start to lose hope and you start angrily scrolling. So I really wanted to talk about nepotism babies and I'm going to defend them because I think that we are giving them more hate than what they deserve. So let's get into it. Nepotism. We've all heard it at least one point in our lives. It can be defined as the practice among those with power or influence of favoring relatives, friends, or associates, especially by giving them jobs. Or, more often, we see it described as the act of using your power or influence to get good jobs or unfair advantages from a member of your own family. So I'm just going to give you a hypothetical. I'm going to describe it for you and so you can kind of get the vibe that we're going for. So let's say you really, really want to be a lawyer because your dad's a lawyer, your dad's dad is a lawyer, and you decide this is what I want to do, right? So you get help from your parent, picking a school to go to. You get help picking a law school. You get assistance in, things like funding your school. Your parent might do that for you, making sure that you get all the connections you possibly can, helping you with assignments, giving you insight on things that you may not get in your regular education. You get admitted into this prestigious law school, let's say Harvard Law, for example, because they recognize your last name and see that your dad is a famous lawyer. So doing all this stuff, you finally graduate, you pass your bar, which is something that you did yourself, and you get a job offer from your dad. Now, obviously your dad would do that because he's your parent and he wants you to succeed. So of course he's going to hire you inside of his company, but that, my dears, is nepotism. Because chances are, if you were a new lawyer looking for a job, you probably wouldn't just easily be able to find a job just that fast as if you would if you were to have a popular lawyer parent. Even if you were to lose all of your cases, you probably would still keep your job because that is your dad. And if you were to have these lack of skills or whatever it may be, because you did pass all of your exams, you did do the work, you still might, it may appear as though you don't deserve whatever position that you're in. Your coworkers might start talking trash about you, about why they feel like that you only got this job because of your father. And the internet has recently been exploding with the whole nepotism thing. And it's been interesting because many people have had the revelation that celebrities, a lot of them have celebrity parents, grandparents, even great grandparents in some instances. We're talking about fourth generation actors and actresses, which is pretty crazy to think about. And I think that it's not fair, but I also think that we should talk about it on both sides. Lily Rose Depp, aka Johnny Depp's daughter, recently in an interview said one of the most tone deaf things that I have seen in a very long time. She basically stated, she was asked about whether or not, something about nepotism and if she had heard about it online. She says, the internet seems to care a lot more about that kind of stuff. People are going to have preconceived ideas about you or how you got there, and I can definitely say that nothing is going to get you the part except for being right for the part. She says the internet cares a lot more about who your family is than the people who are casting you in things. Maybe you get your foot in the door, but still, just to have your foot in the door, there's a lot of work that comes after that. She does find it interesting, however, that she rarely hears anyone refer to a man as a nepo baby. She says it's weird to me to reduce somebody to the idea that they're only there because it's a generational thing. It doesn't make any sense. If somebody's mom or dad is a doctor and then the kid becomes a doctor, you're not going to be like, well, you're only a doctor because your parent is a doctor. It's like, no, I went to medical school and trained. Though she later says that she is not comparing herself to a doctor, though she literally just did. And Lily Rose is one of the many, many nepotism babies that we see in the media right now. People claim, like her, she's not very deserving of her career. And I haven't seen her act. I haven't seen her in whatever HBO show that she's in. But I did see her walk on the runway, and I will say it was better than Kendall Jenner, but I would hope so since she does have a model mother. So if she had a bad walk, I feel like that would be pretty embarrassing. Though the part that's interesting about this is that she's actually 5'3". And I don't know if you know anything about models or runways or anything like that, but the funny thing is that I actually gave up my dream to be a runway model. That was what I wanted when I was really, really young, like so young, like I must have been like 6. But I gave that dream up because I felt like I wasn't going to end up being tall enough, which was correct. I am actually 5'5", though sometimes when I get measured, it'll say 5'6", but I'm 5'5". But either way, I highly doubt that a company such as Chanel would truly, deeply hire a 5'3" model to walk on their runway. Even if she's a really gorgeous model, unless it's a type of show that they're trying to showcase different sizes, they're all pretty much the same height or in the same height kind of bracket. So then a person would deduce that she was only casted in Chanel in that show because her parents are famous. As a matter of fact, we're going to deviate from the script right now. I'm going to Google it. So you have to be at least 5'8" in order to be a runway model when you're a woman. So it's very clear that she actually has a leg up in this instance. But online, there are people that are ranking Nepo babies, discussing the hurt they learned when one of their favorite actors is like a third generation Nepo baby.
Lily Collins. I just thought she had like a big break. Jack Quaid. Quaid, right? Did not know this. I loved him in The Boys. Dakota Johnson. Like, even if you didn't know who her parents was, she just looks like a Nepo baby. I literally did not know Timothée Chalamet is a Nepo baby. Did not know that. Obviously, these people are still so talented, but would they have been this successful if they weren't a Nepo baby? I don't know. Probably.
And I think that the case is for most people that have been talking about Nepo babies online is that they have to at least acknowledge that they have famous parents or that helped them in some capacity. Because I think that the idea that you got to the position that you are just based off of hard work is not very likely. It gives off the same energy as people who claim to be like self-made billionaires or millionaires when in reality they had rich parents or whatever the case may be. So the chances of them actually being self-made, slim. In fact, it's not real at all. So another thing that I kind of failed to mention in this video when I was recording it is that there was an article that came out on Vulture about nepotism babies and how it became a whole huge phenomenon by Nate Jones. It's going to be linked in my sources, even though I didn't really talk about it in the article, but I think that it is interesting how there was such an uproar whenever you find out a celebrity is a nepo baby, and the fact that it's this whole conspiracy that everyone in Hollywood is connected when we know that every single industry that has literally ever existed is all about nepotism in some way, shape, or form. But that's kind of the vibe that I get, and I've seen so many TikToks people talking about how they were hurt when they found out that like Maya Hawke was a nepotism baby. Or they kind of devalue an actor the minute that they find out that they were a nepo baby, or the fact that like Ariana Grande, she's not a nepo baby, but she had very rich parents growing up. Same with Taylor Swift. But either way, the point is that there are people who have advantages in life and they were able to do those things because of their parents. So I think that not acknowledging that you do have a privilege in that is a little bit whack, and I think that's why a lot of nepo babies, such as Lily Rose Depp, get so much hate because they're whining and crying about how like I don't understand why everyone thinks that I'm famous because of my dad. When it's like, if you were a normal person, you probably wouldn't be where you are at this moment. You could be, but probably not. So let me get into my first argument, right? Which is why I'm defending Nepo babies is because I think that we kind of give them a bad rep. I think that a lot of them do try really hard in their careers. And, the first point that I have is that when you're a Nepo baby, unless you just don't care and you're just someone who lives carefree, and I wish I was like that. But if I were a Nepo baby, I would spend my entire life trying to outrun my parents' shadow. So I think that one of the issues, or one of the reasons why I think we should give them more grace, is because they have to spend their entire careers trying to stand out with their famous parents. I'm only talking about the people who care about their profession because, obviously some people are just going to be like, I'm going to be in a movie because my mom is a director, or being like, I'm going to record a song because I'm rich. And it's like, you don't really have a passion for that. You're just doing it because it makes you money and you have the ability to do it. For a lot of these people, they spend their careers trying to gain fame of their own, name. And there are some people who you may not even realize are Nepo babies because of how famous they have gotten just based off of how accomplished they are, their acting credits and stuff like that. So, like, for instance, Nicolas Cage, Emma Robert, Tracy Ellis Ross. Which, side note, my mom's going to laugh at this. So, me and my mom, we were talking like 3 months ago. I saw a TikTok where I found out that, like, Tracy Ellis Ross was Diana Ross's daughter. And of course, they have the same last name. Why wouldn't that be her daughter? But it never clicked in my head, and my jaw truly was on the floor. I still am shook to this day because she's so famous. She has her own name, and I would have never known. I really thought she was self-made. But yeah, Diana Ross is her mom, if you didn't know. We also have George Clooney, Drew Barrymore, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Maya Rudolph. Now, in these cases, these people have become so famous and well known that you probably forget that they have famous parents, or that their parents had a one-hit wonder, like Maya Rudolph, who had her mom was a famous singer. Um, but still, you have to prove yourself really heavily. I feel like you have to prove yourself more than if you were a normal person, because you kind of have a clean slate. But if you were growing up listening, like seeing your dad in Pirates of the Caribbean, you might as well do a little dance and jig. You have to prove yourself in some way. I would feel the worst imposter syndrome ever if it were me. It's like I would love to be an Nepo baby because then I could not struggle as much as I do in this moment. And I say struggle very loosely. But like, Nepo babies just have a lot to deal with. And, with the whole trying to make a name of themselves. Nicolas Cage, that's not his last name. He has a famous relative and he decided to change his name because his first acting gig, they were already asking him about his famous relative. So he decided to change his name to remove himself so he could feel like he accomplished something by himself. I know that Kendall Jenner, though she's a horrible example, she claimed that she blacked out her last name or changed it in casting calls because she wanted to feel like she got her castings on herself, as though she wasn't in a extremely popular reality TV show where everyone knows what she looked like. But, whatever. After seeing what happened with Lily Rose Depp, I mean, she's not hated, she's not canceled by any means, but I do think that seeing this, we might end up seeing in the next couple of years, Nepo babies, like the famous little kids right now, are probably going to change their names or do something because it's like they want to feel separate from their famous parents. I imagine like being Kim Kardashian's kid is probably going to be really difficult to like try to top that. I find that whenever I see an actor that is very much mid or mediocre, despite being like very good, like far into their career, they're most likely a nepotism baby. And I think that's really unfair because there's definitely so many actors that would fit perfectly in those roles. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't really hate on someone for something that they can't control. Because, like, if your dad is a well-known producer, for example, and you grow up seeing him go on to set, you're going to be interested. You're going to want to be on screen, Maybe there's a part where there isn't a person available. So he's like, hey, kid, go up there. You're my daughter. Go do that. You're, of course, going to do it. And if you've been doing this your whole life, of course you're going to want to be an actor when you grow up. And then why is it your fault that you're interested in acting when it's all that you've seen growing up? I couldn't imagine, like, it's funny. Like, I couldn't imagine being, like, seeing your parent be like rich and famous. Like I'm imagining like Kim Kardashian, right, doing all this stuff, and then imagine like Psalm becoming like an accountant, removed from fame entirely, changes like his whole name. It's just interesting to think about. So my second argument is just because they're successful doesn't mean you can't be too. As many of you may know, my biggest goal in life is to be an actor. Yes, that is still an accomplishment that I am hoping to achieve. I don't even want to be like the next Zendaya, but I would love to be just a career actor. Like, I would love to just be booked and busy doing my thing. I don't need to win any awards. I just love acting, and that's deeply like that's what I enjoy doing the most. This is exciting and fun, and I love this. I love entertaining people, but my first love is always going to be acting. And the reason why you may be asking why I didn't start acting when I was 18, or why didn't I try to be a child actor, which I did, and my mom told me no. But why didn't I try acting when I turned 18 and just, balls to the wall? The reason why was because I was so scared of trying and failing that I decided to enact or partake in a backup plan. So at this point, the backup plan has become so convoluted and deep. Who knows if I'm going to get to the original plan? I plan to, funnily enough. But the reason why I feel the need to have a backup plan is because I know the acting world is very difficult right now. And I do know that maybe if it were, earlier times, maybe if I wasn't black, there's so many reasons as to why maybe I haven't achieved. But granted, I haven't auditioned for a lot of stuff anyway, so it's partially my fault. But I would say that it would be unfair if, for instance, a casting director saw Zoe Kravitz and me, but I was better for the part, but he picked Zoe Kravitz because it's literally Zoe Kravitz. Also, she's lighter than me, but that's a whole other topic about colorism. But the point is that yes, I would be upset, but also I think that we should think more about what success means to us and why we feel the need to put down other people to make ourselves feel better, and publicly as well. Because like that's the part that I'm just like you can complain to your friends, but posting about it online, posting TikToks about how this person has no talent and they should like die or something, extreme, insane. Why would you say that? Why would you do that? That's an actual person. I think that it's fair to be upset whenever you see someone who has a better starting out point than you. Because, like, for instance, when I was in college in Orlando, I would get so, like, angry isn't the word, frustrated would be the word. Because I would see people in Orlando. I would see so many Teslas in the UCF parking garage. I would see so many people whose parents were paying for their entire school, paying for their groceries, paying their rent, and giving them an allowance on top of it to go out to clubs and stuff like that. All they had to do was just go to school and they could do whatever they wanted. I so desperately wanted that, but instead I didn't. My mom did pay for my rent, so shout out, mom. But other than that, I was truly on my own and I was paying for everything. I took out those loans, man. So at the end of the day, I'm paying for it. But it upset me because I was like, oh, I wish I had that. But it's not something to where I would like literally break someone down and tell them that they didn't deserve their position because, oh, because your parents can afford for you to like succeed in life. If I was a parent, I would love for my kid to, do better. I'm a person, as a black woman, I'm learning and developing. And one thing that I've learned is being grateful for what you have and working really hard. And I think that while it does suck because being black and a woman in general means you're going to have to try a lot harder for lesser of a role or whatever it may be, because obviously not every person is going to be Leonardo DiCaprio or Zendaya or even Zoe Kravitz or any person, whether they're self-made or not. I think that it's just interesting. And like I remember I saw this TikTok of one of the sharks from Shark Tank saying that she would never invest in a rich kid's business.
I feel very badly saying this to you, but I, as a matter of principle, don't invest in rich kids' businesses.
Which is baller move, even though she has kids and she'll probably invest into their businesses, but that's a separate thing. We just have to go through life differently, but it doesn't mean that we have to tear down other people just for the funsies bit of it. Like, I'm sure not every Nepo baby is sitting at home crying about whatever. Like, I'm sure Lily Collins is doing just fine, or Dakota Johnson. But I think that as people who want to break out into the entertainment industry or whatever it may be, you should just take extra steps of precaution, do what you can, and if it's meant for you, it will happen at whatever point that it is in life. Because even if you are the most You have the most famous parents ever. If you're not talented, it will eventually catch up to you and you will lose bookings. It's just how it is. So, in theory, I would say that the nepotism baby will be found out eventually, and they will eventually be kicked off their roster and they will have to work harder for their roles. There are some directors who say they don't want to hire nepo babies at all, and they refuse to do it just because they were self made themselves. So, my defense here is being a nepotism baby is unfair. It is so unfair and it's not right. Just like how it's unfair that some people are born in the royal family and other people aren't. You know, some people are born a Rockefeller or a Kennedy and other people are born, I don't know, a Johnson. Well, that's Johnson and Johnson. Maybe like Brown. I don't know, like a random generic last name. It doesn't mean that we can't become famous or that we can't become entrepreneurs or whatever it may be. It just means we're going to have to work a little bit harder. But that's the thing that sucks about the American dream is that you just got to work really hard and they claim you're going to achieve things, but and you also can't say that if, like, the thing that's funny to me about this whole, like, oh, I can't be successful because I'm not a Nepo baby is very just like not true. Because if you want something, then you have to like try for it. And I don't want to sound like one of those Republicans, like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps because I think that's the most dumb statement ever and I think it's stupid and it's so not understanding the whole issue of intersectionality. But you can't say that if you weren't a Nepo baby, you wouldn't do the exact same thing. I think I saw Brooke Schofield make a TikTok about that.
How come not one nepotism baby is just like, yep? Like, aren't we calling you rich? I'd be like, thanks.
Sometimes there are instances, like with the college scandal, where people who are more wealthy do have a very clear advantage, and that is where it takes from other people, and that is very ridiculous and unfair. Final argument, and then I will leave you guys alone about why I'm defending nepo babies. This comes from the fact that I am a black woman. I've said it many times in this video because it is true. It is an unrefutable fact. I cannot escape it. But I am a softie for people who are different. Now, I do hate that I sound like a rich person apologist because I'm very much a socialist and I think we should tax the pants off of the rich so much so that they can't make their own film studios just to cast their stupid little children and stuff that they're not even good at. I think it's unfair how the world is set up. And I also don't think that it's fair that we should punish people for doing nothing wrong. If you're punishing someone just for being born, that's the same, not the same thing, but similar concept to how the government treats people in the lower class or who are in poverty, people who are homeless. It's not the same, similar concept. It's like, yes, this person is rich and that sucks and we hate them. We don't hate them. But I think that it's not right to hate on somebody just for being rich. And I don't mean the people that are making jokes or making their little ranking videos and talking about like, oh, shucks, this person is a nepo baby. That's the worst. But I think that having a true deep hatred for someone just for how they were born or where they were born seems a little bit counterproductive and doesn't really seem like what you should be doing with your time. Now, I'm not going to say use that time to go read a book, but I will say that if it does affect you and you do feel like that you are losing something by not being a nepo baby, you have to understand that a lot of things in the world are boiled down to connections. And that sucks. Sometimes you have to make them yourself. Busts don't break into an Oscars, after party, but join acting classes in your area, go to shows, do whatever you can to break into that industry. If you're a singer, join some groups, figure out what's happening. I don't know much about singing. I don't know if you could tell, but there is many ways to break into the industry and put your foot in the door, like Lily Rose Depp said, without having a famous parent. It's just something that you have to put forth a lot of effort in. It's not fair and it's not right, but it's not impossible. I think that the thing that we should critique from nepo babies is what they do with the fame that they have. Like, I think that if you are a nepo baby and you're not talented, maybe don't skyrocket an acting career. That is open for criticism. I think that when we see actors like Maya Hawke or Jamie Lee Curtis who acknowledge their famous parents, but I think that the argument could be made for a lot of things. Like, for instance, let's say by the end of this year, I hit 2 million subscribers. Probably won't happen. Fingers crossed it does happen. But if I hit 2 million subscribers and then I decide to drop out of school and become an actor, I'm sure that when those casting directors see me, they're going to be like, oh, there's a YouTuber who has millions of subscribers. The subscribers are probably going to watch the movie. Let's cast her. Same thing with Jamie Lee Curtis and Halloween. She believes that she got that role because of her mom, who was in Psycho. So this is to say that there are many layers when it comes to privilege. There's intersectionality when it comes to all this stuff. And I think that reducing a person down to their famous parents is just not fair.
I feel like we need to stop giving Nepo babies so much hate because, like, at the end of the day, we all inherit something from our parents, right? Like, whether it's fame or wealth or, in my case, alcoholism.
I think that obviously it's fun to poke fun. I mean, there's so many articles talking about Nepo babies that you don't know were Nepo babies, showing off the how famous their parents are, what generation Nepo baby are they, ranking their careers. That is funny and giggles and whatever, because I doubt that an article from the New York Post is going to hurt your feelings. But I do think that we should give them a chance, and we shouldn't just immediately shut them down because you would want a chance too. I think it becomes a problem when like you're a Nepo baby with like no talent and then you end up having like more IMDb credits than Randall Park, who, if you don't know, is Asian Jim and is in literally every single movie and TV show ever. This man has so many acting credits, it's literally ridiculous. But the point is that we should tax them. We should, but we also shouldn't just hate on somebody, basically shun them from the industry before they even get a chance just because they have famous parents. There are famous kids who literally don't care anything about being famous. So it's not every single Nepo baby. We shouldn't characterize them all as being the worst because they're not. There are some Nepo babies that are literally amazing and have transformed the film industry in general. So that's my defense. Oh God, I hit my hand. That's my defense. You may not like it, and I'm very sorry if you don't. But I figure we should treat people with kindness, like Harry Styles says. And yeah. So that's pretty much it. Let me know your opinions on Nepo babies. Are you a Nepo baby hater, or are you kind of on the fence about them? For me, I really am on the fence because like I watched like Timothy Chalamet and something and I'm like, he's all right, or Miley Cyrus. I'm like, yeah, she's talented. She's way more talented now than what she was when she was younger. But the thing is that we got to give Nepo babies a chance. We can't just shut them down before they even get a chance to shine, And some of their parents weren't even in their prime until they were like in their 30s. So it's like unfair to judge a little 18 or 20-year-old kid on their career when it's barely even started, But that is it. Oh, Bronx is here. Do you guys want a Bronx break? Come here. Everyone say hi to Bronx. Happy New Year. You want to say anything? Literally have nothing? Okay. You can go. Either way, that is my video. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up because it does help little channels like mine. Make sure to subscribe to me as well because I would love that. My goal for this year is to hit a milestone. I'm hoping to get 10K, maybe 100K, maybe 100 million, and I'm going to beat Mr. Beast this year. Probably not. But I would love for you to subscribe to me to see me on my journey. I'm doing a lot more for my channel this year. I'm going to start a Patreon soon. I'm going to do a lot more, guys. I promise. But yeah, so that is it. So make sure to stay happy, stay healthy, and stay safe. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.